All right, welcome to this explainer. Today we're diving headfirst into a harsh but absolutely fascinating reality. Powerful people do not build connections with just anyone. They only connect with folks who truly understand how the game is actually played. Right now, a lot of people are standing entirely on the outside of that world, kind of scratching their heads wondering why the big opportunities never seem to reach them. So we're going to break down the 13 Machiavellian laws of social climbing to show you exactly how the elite navigate influence. Let's get right into it. Look, have you ever watched people with, let's be honest, way less intelligence, less talent, and less discipline than you somehow end up in rooms that you are completely locked out of? It's incredibly frustrating, right? But here's the absolute truth of the matter. It isn't luck, it definitely isn't fairness, and it is absolutely not about talent alone. See, we're all fed this myth growing up, that talent and hard work are literally all you need to open doors. But reality paints a totally different picture. Influence is actually governed by these quiet, unspoken rules. We're talking about centuries-old laws that get passed around inside closed networks, private dinners, and exclusive boardrooms. Today, we're pulling those rules completely out of the shadows. To make this super actionable for you, we've organized these 13 laws into a really cohesive 4-part playbook. We'll cover gaining access, controlling perception, creating magnetic value, and finally, leveraging conflict. Consider this your personal roadmap from outsider to insider. Starting off with phase 1, gaining access, basically how to enter the locked room. Listen, charging the heavily guarded front door of powerful people is a guaranteed one-way ticket to rejection. They have gatekeepers, assistants, and entire filter systems explicitly designed to keep ordinary people out. So Law 3 dictates that you have to enter through the side door. The strategic person is patient. They study the ecosystem, the trusted friends, partners, and advisors that actually make up the inner circle. By building relationships naturally in those less guarded spaces first, your name starts popping up in conversations before you ever even step foot in the room. You enter associated with trust, not as some random stranger. Okay, so you found the side door. But how do you actually engage? Well, that brings us to Law 1, become useful before you become close. Most people take this really desperate approach, right? They ask for favors, they want attention, they seek validation. But powerful people are utterly exhausted by emotional neediness. To succeed, you have to provide strategic utility. You need to analyze their stress points and just quietly remove their problems. Think about this for a second. The powerful rarely remember the people who talked the most, but they never forget the people who made life easier. Making someone's life easier, just stripping the friction right out of their day, that is your very first currency in the world of influence. You've got to use it wisely. Which brings us to phase 2, controlling your social perception, or how to act once you're actually inside. Getting into the room is honestly only half the battle. Maintaining your leverage requires strict discipline across 4 distinct laws. Let's look at how average behavior stacks up against strategic behavior here. Average people constantly bleed power by oversharing, while strategic players use guarded mystery simply because predictability destroys leverage. In communication, average folks try to force their own reality on everyone else, while the strategic mirror their environment. When speaking, insecure people always rush to fill dead air, while the powerful use intentional pauses. And finally, broadcasting every single unconventional belief you hold just creates unnecessary enemies. Blending in externally, on the other hand, allows you to navigate the system freely. Building on that idea of mirroring, let's talk about calibrated adaptability. It's human nature. People naturally trust reflections of themselves. If you try to force a really powerful person into your specific worldview, you are going to lose. The people who absolutely crush it socially aren't rigidly authentic in every single given moment. They're flexible. They meet people inside their own world, subtly adjusting their energy so the whole connection just feels totally effortless. And a massive part of that calibration is mastering Law 6. Silence creates pressure. Look, most people are terrified of silence. They over-explain, they react way too fast, and with every unnecessary word they spit out, they're just surrendering their leverage. You have to learn to tolerate that tension without rushing to speak. Just let the other person fill the silence and reveal their hand. But hey, all those smooth conversational skills mean literally nothing if you drop the ball on Law 10, guarding your reputation. In elite circles, your reputation is speaking for you long before you ever enter the room. A weak reputation will slam doors shut instantly. And remember, your inner circle reflects on your image. If you're hanging around chaos or low standards, those qualities stick right to your name. One careless emotional reaction can undo years of careful strategic positioning. Moving right along to phase 3, creating magnetic value. This is all about making opportunities come to you. So we're pivoting now from how you behave in conversations to how you actually build an undeniable gravity that makes opportunities naturally gravitate towards you. This is Law 5, master the art of selective availability. It's the pure psychology of scarcity. Most people think being constantly available proves they're loyal, but actually, constant availability signals incredibly low perceived value. It practically screams to powerful people that your time isn't scarce and you have no priorities other than them. Selective absence, though, creates high value. When your presence is less predictable, your attention has to be earned, and that creates deep, immediate respect. And that ties in perfectly with Law 9, make others come to you. Chasing attention always signals an imbalance. It just shows you're begging for validation. The strategic person, however, focuses on building undeniable excellence, real results, and high competence. They become so visibly excellent at what they do that their reputation creates natural curiosity. Don't force doors open. Build so much inherent value that they just open for you automatically. But as you're building all that immense value, you've got to remember Law 8. And honestly, this is probably the harshest truth of all. Never outshine the master. Ambition blinds people. You might actually be way smarter or more capable than the person sitting above you, but the exact moment you make a powerful superior feel insecure, you become a threat. And threats, they get removed from the board. Protect their ego, let your talents support them, and just play the long game until your own position is totally untouchable. Let's step into phase 4, leveraging conflict and alliances. This is how you survive the inevitable friction. Because no matter how skilled you are, you're gonna hit friction, enemies, and clashing egos in these elite circles. So how do you handle it? Well, under Law 12, most people completely fail because they appeal to mercy. They try to explain why they're struggling or why it's only fair that they get some help. But powerful people think transactionally. Emotional begging just falls flat. Instead, you have to appeal to self-interest. Frame everything you want around what they stand to gain. When you pitch clear incentives, you immediately stop sounding dependent and start sounding highly useful. And what about actual, literal enemies? Under Laws 7 and 11, the average person wastes just an enormous amount of energy hating their enemies, while the strategic person leverages them. Shared enemies actually build instant trust. If you know exactly what a powerful person is fighting against, you can align with them. Plus, real opposition exposes your own blind spots. So never ever operate from a place of emotional revenge. Study your enemies, leverage them, or figure out how to convert them into your absolute strongest allies. People forget pleasant conversations. They remember battles. This is just ancient human psychology at play here. Tribes have always bonded the most fiercely through shared adversity and opposition. If you stand shoulder to shoulder with someone in a real fight, you stop being an outsider, begging for access. You instantly become part of the tribe. Finally, phase 5, executing the strategy. This is the final mindset shift. We've covered the laws, but now we've got to shift from simply learning these rules to actually executing them out there in the real world. This is your masterclass. You have to adopt these core mindset shifts to stop moving through the world like an average outsider. Become strategically useful. Ruthlessly control your availability and master your speech. Build undeniable value instead of desperately chasing attention. And always, always frame your requests through self-interest rather than emotional pleading. I really want to leave you with a direct challenge, straight from our source material. Information without execution is just entertainment. Seriously, knowing these Machiavellian laws changes absolutely nothing if your behavior stays exactly the same tomorrow. Power has always followed very specific patterns, and well, now you know the patterns. So, I'm going to leave you with one final question. Most people will watch this explainer, maybe feel a little bit inspired for a few minutes, and then just move on, staying exactly where they are. So, which one are you? Are you going to stay on the outside looking in, or are you going to take this playbook and actually step into the room? Think about it. Thanks so much for joining me on this explainer, and I will catch you on the next one.